Let's take up question number 27 now. Which is the correctly paired? Which is correctly paired? So four options are there. Heart, involuntary, unstriated. Iris, involuntary, smooth muscle. Biceps, smooth muscles. Abdominal wall, smooth muscles. Now you have to choose the one which is correctly matched. Heart muscles are striated. They are not unstriated, so that's wrong. Iris, involuntary and smooth muscle. Yes, iris contains the smooth muscles and is involuntary in action. So B is the right answer. Biceps are not smooth muscles, they are striated muscles. Abdominal wall also has got striated muscles. Okay, so B is the right answer. Then question number 28. Innominate is A, a nerve, B, an artery, C, a vein, D, a part of an skeleton and an artery. Now, innominate word refers to the coxal bone or one half of the pelvic girdle. Okay, so that is skeletal part. And a nerve which is supplying to that region or passing through that structure is named with the same name, like innominate artery, we can say. Similarly, innominate vein. So here, innominate artery is mentioned here. So that means D is the right option. A part of skeleton, that is innominate, coxal bone, and connected artery, that is the innominate artery. That will be the right answer. Question number 29. Which is required for muscle contraction and nerve impulse transmission? So keep in mind here, required for muscle contraction as well as to bring about the transmission of the impulse across the synapses. Okay, so the right answer, the options given here: A, calcium, B, magnesium, C, iron, and D, both A and B. The right answer here will be calcium ions. Why? Calcium ions are needed for muscle contraction, we know. Released by the sarcoplasmic reticulum, they play a very important role in pushing away the uh, ectomyosin and the troponin molecules so that the active sites are uh, opened up on the actin for attachment of the myosin. Okay. Similarly, in transmission of the nerve impulses, calcium ions play a very important role because in the presynaptic knob or the axon ending, when the calcium ions enter inside, then only the synaptic vesicles become activated and they move towards the end membrane of the axon, and then they fuse with the uh, membrane and release the acetylcholine into the synapse to bring about transmission of the impulse. So there also calcium ion play very important role. So that's why A is the right answer. Question number 30. Which one is anatomically correct? A, collarbone, 3 pairs. No, we have 1 pair of collarbones only. Then B, salivary glands, 1 pair. No, salivary glands are of 3 different types, so 3 pairs. Cranial nerves, 10 pairs. No, cranial nerves in humans and all the mammals are 12 pairs. In amphibians, it is 10 pairs. Then floating ribs are 2 pairs. That is the right answer, D. We have 2 pairs of the floating ribs to one side, to another side. The last 2 ribs on each side, they are the floating ribs. Question number 31. Which of the following is a sesamoid bone? Remember, a sesamoid bone is the bone which is modified from the tendon or fibrous connective tissue. Okay, so we know that in the knee joint, if you take up, there is a cup-like or disc-like small bone called as patella. That plays very important role, so that only one way bending of our legs is possible. So that patella bone is a modified bone. It has developed from the tendon, fibrous connective tissue. So therefore patella is the right answer. Question number 32. Two of the body parts which do not appear in MRI may be. What is MRI? MRI is a technique where we visualize the soft tissues of the body. To visualize the soft tissues and organs, is there any problem with our internal organs or soft tissues? We usually go for the magnetic resonance imaging, we call MRI. Okay, it will not give any clear picture of the bones. Bones just appear black. Understood? So that's why two of the body parts which do not appear in MRI may be out of the given options: A, molar teeth, and eye lens. Eye lens is soft tissue, it can be seen. Teeth, bony part, cannot be seen. Then scapula and canine. So scapula is also bone, and canine is also bone. So these two parts will not appear. So that's why B will be the right answer. Whereas in C and D, you see that either one, at least one, is a soft tissue which can be visualized by MRI scanning. Okay, so B is the right answer here. Question number 33. The shoulder blade is made up of. The shoulder blade, that is the part of the pectoral girdle. What it is called as? Yes, it is scapula. Then question number 34. Select the correct matching of the types of the joint with the example in human skeletal system. So one side types of the joints are given, and on another side the examples are given. So you have to choose the correct matching. A, here we have the cartilaginous between frontal and parietal, that is the bones of the cranium. No, there we have the fibrous joint. Pivot between third and fourth cervical vertebrae. No, it is between first and second cervical vertebrae, because second vertebra, that is the axis, articulates with the atlas by pure joint. Then hinge joint between humerus and pectoral girdle, that is a ball and socket joint, humerus and pectoral girdle, so that's also not correct. And gliding joints between the carpals is correct. The carpal bones in our wrist, they are joined by sliding joints. So D is the right option here. Let's take up the next question. The given figure represents the cross bridge cycle in skeletal muscle. What does the step B in the figure represents. So step B, you see here, this is what the actin filament is moving inside, right? And this cross bridge is bending inward to pull it. Already it is bent so that the actin filament has moved inside, and the ATP is broken into ADP and inorganic phosphate. Okay, so let us see the options. A. Attachment of myosin head to actin forming cross bridge. B. Release of phosphate. Myosin changes shape to pull actin. C. Attachment of new ATP to myosin head. The cross bridge detaches. D. Splitting of ATP into ADP and inorganic phosphate. Myosin coax into its high energy conformation. Now, out of these options, which one is the right one? Here the right option is, as we know, a release of phosphate. As we see there, ATP is broken down into ADP and phosphate, and the myosin changes shape to pull the actin. Why other options are wrong? Attachment of myosin head to actin forming cross bridge, that will be one step before it bends, it attaches. Then attachment of new ATP to myosin head, the cross bridge detaches. That is, after the detachment of the cross bridge, the ATP will bind again, and again the new cycle will start. So here that's also not the case. It is still attached to the actin and pulling the actin inward. Then the splitting of ATP into ADP and inorganic phosphate, that is true, but myosin coax into its high energy conformation. That is not true. It is already, it has bent inward, right? And the movement of the actin filament has taken place. So B will be the right answer. Question number 36. Match the column 1 and 2 and choose the correct combination from the options given below. Now here in column 1 you have the list: capital A, muscular dystrophy; B, myasthenia gravis; C, osteoporosis; D, tetany; and E, gout. And on the other side, 1, age related disorder; 2, autoimmune disease; 3, genetic disorder; 4, wild contractions; 5, inflammation of joints. So muscular dystrophy, as we know, is the genetic disorder, so A should be connected with 3. So quickly we can go to the right option, because here A only is showing connection of A with the 3. Let's see whether the remaining options are correctly, these capital A, B, C, D are correctly matched. So B, myasthenia gravis, is autoimmune disease, that is correctly matched. Then osteoporosis, age-related disorder, so correctly matched, C1. Tetany is wild contractions, okay, as we have seen in case of tetanus, where the muscles wildly undergo contraction, okay. And then gout, that is inflammation of the joints. In place of tetany, it can also be given as tetanus. Remember, tetanus will be the more appropriate word to be used here, but anyway it is related, we can consider, okay. Question number 37. Recognize the figure and find out the correct matching. The figure here shows the hind limb bone, leg bones, and the pelvic girdle, okay. Now let us look at the options. 1, A, labeling A, thigh bone, that is correct. B, knee cap, is correct. And C, tibia. D, fibula, correctly matched. Number 2, A, longest bone, thigh bone is longest bone, that is true. B is cup-like or cup-shaped bone, that's true. C, tibia. D, fibula. And E, E is pointing to the tarsus, that's also correct. Then number 3, A, femur bone, yes, thigh bone is called as femur also. B, patella, yes, kneecap is also called as patella bone. C, tibia. D, fibula. And E, 7 in number, S, the tarsals in the leg bones. If you find that, look at this region, the tarsals will be 7 in number in the ankle bones, we call them. Whereas in the wrist, the similar bones called as the carpals, there will be 8. Okay, so here tarsals slightly mentioned, so all of these is the right answer. Question number 38, choose the correct matching. Again, in this table we have on one side synovial joints and other side we have bones involved. Okay, ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, and saddle joint is given. And on the other side, carpal, metacarpal of thumb, atlas and axis, frontal and parietal bones, knee, humerus and pectoral girdle is given. Now, humerus and pectoral girdle, easy to find out. Humerus and pectoral girdle is ball and socket joint, so one should be connected with what? T. So the answer should be B or C. Let's look at the other possible correct answers, correct links. Hinge. Hinge joint, where you find? Yes, hinge joint. One example here is the knee joint, where only 180-degree bending or movements are allowed. So knee joint is hinge joint. So 2 should be connected to yes. So that means B is the right option. So 3, pivot joint is between atlas and axis, that is correct. And 4, saddle is between the carpal and metacarpals of thumb region, right? So this is the metacarpal and this is the carpal bone here, so which allows to and fro and sideways movements, okay, up and down movements. So that's why the option is B, right option. Question number 39, number of bones in cranium, face, hyoid and middle ear are respectively. So you have to see in correct order only. The options given are A, 14,813, B, 8,1413, C, 3,814,1, D, 14,831. Now we know that the cranial bones are 8 in number. Okay, facial bones are 14 in number. So it should start with 8, 14. Hyoid is single bone, and the ear ossicles in the middle ear, okay, they are 3 in number. 3 pairs, of course. One side, if you take up, it is 3 because middle ear only is mentioned one single one side. So that means B will be the right option. Then question number 40. Match amoeboid, ciliary, flagellar and muscular movement. Again, in the correct order you have to see first amoeboid, then ciliary, then flagellar and then muscular movement. So which of these following is giving you the correct option? Let's see. First, A, fallopian tube. Fallopian tube does not show amoeboid movement, leave it. Then B, macrophages. Yes, macrophages show amoeboid movement. Then Ciliary trachea, rightly matching. Then flagellar spermatozoa, correct. And muscular, that is tongue. So B will be the right answer. That's how you have to go uh, with the right answer to find out the right answer. That's the way. In order, you have to see which of these. Of course, you may be confused sometimes when both are given. Both A and B are given. So naturally, students' tendency is that when A and B is given, they suddenly go for that option only, thinking that maybe both the answers are correct, therefore given. No, it's not all the time the same thing. Okay, to confuse you, they will give it like that many a time. So here A cannot be because fallopian tube has got the ciliated columnar epithelia, so that is showing the ciliary movement, not the amoeboid, isn't it? So you have to match in accordance with this order of the structures given there. Okay, so B is the right answer. Let's go to the next question. Question number 41. Function of t-tubules in muscles is to. T-tubules you have studied uh, through the earlier video lecture where I have explained to you how the t-tubules help in muscle contraction, that is passing on the action potential uh, to the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So we see here that the functions of t-tubules in muscles is to secrete acetylcholine, no, conduct impulses, B, that is C, support the muscle fiber, D, store the calcium ion. So the right answer will be conduct the impulses, because the action potential will be transported from uh, the membrane sarcolemma deep inside by the help of t-tubules. Then 42, find out the correct match regarding the structure of muscle fiber. Now here band, color and filament. These are the three columns given. A band, that is the anisotropic band we call. Then here color given is dark, that is correct, but what is the function? Contain only actin? No, not actin. It contains the myosin mainly and overlapping actin on either side. Then B, I band, light colored. S, contains only actin, so that is the right option. Okay, so in other options one or the other thing will be not matching, like A band is not light, it is dark band, and I band is light but it contains actin, not myosin, so therefore B is the right option. Question number 43. Select the wrong match. You have to select the wrong one. Epiphyseal plates, hyaline cartilage of the long bones. Now, let me tell you what are epiphyseal plates, or what is epiphysis. The long bones of the hand and leg, at the point where they are joining, they are forming the joint either with the girdles or between the upper and lower bones. You see that on both the ends of a long bone there is a protective plate of the cartilage covering it. That cartilage protects the bone from wear and tear, and it also allows a smooth surface for the free movements at the joint. So that's the importance of the epiphysis. So epiphyseal plates, A option says made up of hyaline cartilage of long bones. B, intervertebral disc, white fibrous cartilage. And C, pinna, elastic cartilage. And D, xiphisternum, elastic cartilage. Now, out of these, which one is wrongly matched? You have to see. Epiphyses are made up of hyaline cartilage, that is true. Intervertebral discs between the centra of the vertebrae which are cushion like discs. They are made up of fibrous cartilage. They allow the bending movements of the backbone. Okay, so that's also correctly matched. Ear pinna, of course, contains the elastic cartilage only. Okay, so the wrong option here is Zephysternum, which is not made up of elastic cartilage. Okay, then question number 44. The clavicle articulates with dash dash of scapula. Clavicle articulates with. Earlier also we have seen in one of the question that the articulation of the clavicle or collarbone will be at one end to the sternum, and on the other end it is to the acromion process of the scapula. So therefore A will be the right option. Yes, here you can see the sternum given here. This is the upper part, manubrium. This is the Zephy sternum or Zephite process, and this is the sternum, main body of the sternum. Okay, and these notches are the articulation facets for the ribs. They are called as the costal notches, and for different vertebrae, for different ribs, these are second rib, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh rib. Okay, and here in the manubrium on either side you have the articulation facets for the costal cartilage of the first rib. Okay, and these notches, which are called as the clavicle notches, and here actually the clavicle joins in front, and then the other end of the clavicle will be joining to the acromion process of the scapula. Is that right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Question number 45. Axis vertebra is identified by. Yes, how you identify the axis vertebra that is different from all other vertebrae. Of course, atlas you can identify because it is ring-like. Okay, and all other typical vertebrae, they may have slight differences, but mainly axis can be easily differentiated from all other vertebrae based on what? A. Sigmoid notch. B. Odontoid process. C. Deltoid ridge. D. Centrum. Centrum is there in all the vertebrae. Okay, so axis vertebra has got a process called as odontoid process. Odonto refers to the teeth-like process, which is articulating with the articular facet of the ring-like atlas. So atlas and axis are articulating with the help of odontoid process. So that makes the axis a unique one. So B is the right answer. Then deltoid ridge is seen in the humerus bone, right? And sigmoid notch you have seen now in the sternum. Then question number 46. An example of gliding joint is A. Femur and tibiofibula, humerus and the glenoid cavity, zygapophysis of adjacent vertebrae, occipital condyle, and atlas. Femur and tibiofibula, they make up the hinge joint. Humerus and glenoid cavity, ball and socket joint. Occipital condyle and atlas, condylar joints. So therefore the right option is zygapophysis of adjacent vertebrae. Sometimes if you don't know what is zygapophysis, by the method which is called as eliminating method, right, you can go to the right option, because we have seen now A, B and D are not the gliding joints. So gliding joints are zygapophysis of the adjacent vertebrae. Let us see what these are in the next slide. Okay, C is the right answer. Now look at this picture. There are some around 3 vertebrae are shown here. These are the basal parts of the vertebrae called as centra, solid parts, and in between the centra of the vertebra, this is one vertebra, another vertebra. In between you have the intervertebral disc. Okay, intervertebral disc, cushion like, fibrocartilage we can say, and that allow bending movements of the backbone. And what you see here, this part, these are the neural arches, one side from this side one, from other side one, and they make a kind of gap in between. Okay, through which now you are seeing it side view. Okay, just imagine like this. So there's a gap between the two uh, arches, neural arch, and the bottom is the upper surface of the center. So that is forming the neural canal through which the spinal cord passes all along. So if the spinal cord is drawn, you can see the part of the spinal cord here, but you can't see here because it is passing through that canal like that. And each vertebra has got the spine. These are the dorsal spines of the vertebrae, and there are processes on anterior and posterior ends. They are called as zygapophysis. This is one zygapophysis, anterior zygapophysis, posterior zygapophysis, and between the posterior zygapophysis of one vertebra and anterior zygapophysis of the another vertebra, there is a synovial joint, right? Synovial joint, that is called as facet joint, or it's also known as the gliding joint, because these two can glide past each other. So that's why the bending movements on either side of our backbone are freely brought about. Then question number 47. Saddle joint occurs between A. Carpal and first metacarpal, femur and pelvic girdle, all the vertebrae, phalanges. So where do you find the saddle joint? Yes, it is carpal and first metacarpal. So this first metacarpal of the thumb, right, connecting to the thumb, first metacarpal and the carpal. So that allows the free movements, sideways and up and down movements. So that is the saddle joint. Then question number 48. The largest muscle in human body is A. Stapedius. Stapedius is the smallest muscle, remember, connected to the stapes, the ear ossicle. Then sartorius, masseter, and the gluteus maximus. Remember, it is gluteus maximus that is the largest muscle. Now actually you are sitting on that muscle now. That means it makes up the major part of your buttocks, right? So in the buttocks we have the largest muscle called as gluteus maximus. Then question number 49. Sliding filament theory can be best explained as A. Actin and myosin filaments shorten and slide past each other. B. Actin and myosin filaments do not shorten but rather slide past each other. C. When myofilaments slide past each other, myosin filaments shorten but actin filaments do not shorten. D. When myofilaments slide past each other, actin filaments shorten, but myosin filaments do not shorten. So these four options are given. The right option you have to think of. Right? We know that during the muscle contraction, always remember, it is only the movement of the actin filaments in between the myosin, right? Neither actin filament length is shortening nor the length of myosin shortens. Their lengths remain same. Which length is shortening? The length of the sarcomere. That is from one Z line to another Z line, that space of the myofiber, that is shortening. Okay, so therefore the right answer here is actin and myosin filaments do not shorten but rather slide past each other. Let's take up the last question now. Question number 50. Diarthrosis is another name for joint. Which joint? If you remember, I have explained these terms, um, synarthrosis, diarthrosis, etc. in my video lecture of theory part of this topic. So remember always that diarthrosis is the word used for the synovial joints. So with this we have completed the selected 50 questions on this topic. So please go through these questions and remember the right options. So with this we'll conclude in another lecture. I will take up the next topic. Till then, bye bye.